Hello and welcome back to the Footballing Question YouTube channel. And I don't know if you noticed, but the Premier League is back, or at least it very nearly is. So it's that time of the year. Me and the boys have got to predict the Premier League table. We went through it a couple months ago to see how we did last year. Jordan got the better of me and Ashley, but realistically, none of us did that great. It's a really hard thing to do. And yeah, it looks like we're going to try and embarrass ourselves again this year and see how wrong we're going to be. But obviously right now, we don't know anything. Not a ball has been kicked in the Premier League. So let's just get straight into it. And we're going to show you all of our predictions from 20th to 1st. So with me in 20th, I have got Sheffield United. I'm not too aware of their transfer business, but the most notable thing is they lost Ndiaye and he's gone to Marseille. And obviously, he's their star player. Apparently, he'd filmed a video that he was going to get the new number 10 shirt with a contract extension, and then Marseille came in. Sheffield United really can't replace him, can they? And that's just such a big hit to them, and I don't know if they're going to recover. I don't expect Paul Heckingbottom to be there at the end of the season. I think he'll get sacked mid-season. It's just something which I can see happening. And I don't know. I just don't see Sheffield United staying up. I just don't see it.
Last time I did the best. I have to say, I'm not that confident, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Starting off in 20th, I'm going for Sheffield United. Last time they were in the Prem, their first season back in the Prem, I guess, they did really well. This is the complete opposite though. I don't think they've strengthened very well. I just have a bad feeling for Sheffield United that they're going to do absolutely awful. Yeah, I can't put them anywhere higher than bottom. I think they're absolutely screwed.
This is just going to be off the top of my head, as it usually is. I don't put a lot of thought into these kind of videos, I must admit. In 20th, let's start them. I'm going to go with Nottingham Forest. You see, I don't actually think that they're going to be able to hang on much longer. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about their signings over the summer, but I am kind of sensing a little bit of a Huddersfield theme here, where they kind of surprise everyone by the fact that they've stayed up, and then they plummet with one of the worst Premier Leagues in history the next one. So in 20th, I'm going to go Nottingham Forest.
In 19th, it's a shame, but I've got Luton Town. I really want to see a world where they stay up. I really want that. That would be such a great thing. But with Luton, I don't see it. One thing I will say, though, is I'll give them a lot of credit for their business, is that most of their business has pretty much been getting actual players from the Championship and strengthening that. So they've not kind of done what a lot of teams do when they go up, which is see the money they've got from the Premier League and go mental, go haywire, and just sign a ton of players. I think what they're doing is they're signing for next season. They're signing for, Joe, if we go down, we will have a very good chance of going back up. I appreciate that, because if they stay up, great. If they don't, they're set. And I really think they're doing quite well regarding that. And I think if they do get relegated, I think they're doing the right things right now to put themselves in a great position that it's not going to be a one-time thing. They can come back up.
Next, in 19th, I have Luton Town. Now, I really want to say that Luton Town will survive in the Prem. They'll fight hard. And I do think they'll fight hard. And I do think that they might do a little bit better than maybe some people expect. But they're still going down. And I had to choose a bottom three. And there was no way that I can look at the Luton team and go, they're staying up. I can't do it.
I'm going to go for Everton. I don't see them hanging on much longer. And I also really want them to go down. So 19th, I'm going to go Everton.
In 18th, I've got Wolves. I know this is mental. I've got Wolves to get relegated. And a few years ago, I think one of us did put Wolves to get relegated, and it was a mental prediction. But right now, I'm sorry, I can see it happening. News came out. I didn't have them to go down, and I changed my prediction last minute because news broke through TalkSport that apparently Lopetegui is looking to terminate his contract, and they might be getting in Gary O'Neill after he was sacked by Bournemouth. And everything going on at Wolves. I mean, they lost Jimenez. Did not have that great season, but they pretty much got no real decent striker at the moment. Their joint top scorer Neves went to the Saudi League. Nathan Collins has gone. He's gone to Brentford, and I'll get onto that later with their prediction. But with Wolves, I just look at that squad. I don't see anything that sticks out. I don't see any players who are really doing anything for me and can inspire a big change. I just feel like the morale in that team's going to go down, and I know a lot of people might say Gary O'Neill kept Bournemouth up, but the underlying statistics showed they weren't actually playing too great. But with Wolves, yeah. I'm sorry, Wolves, but I think you're down.
I can't lie, this last relegation spot was quite difficult, but I finally come to the conclusion I'm going for Wolves in 18th. I don't think they've brought in anyone of note, really. There's no one like game-changing that they've brought in. They haven't done a lot of business at all, and it just doesn't really look that great for Wolves at the minute. I don't have much faith in this Wolves side, and it's been a strong few years for Wolves in the Premier League, but I think there's finally time that it comes to an end. And like I said, it was a hard decision, but Wolves are getting relegated, and I'm sure Ashley will be very, very happy with that because he always predicts Wolves to go down.
18th, I'm going to go for Sheffield United.
In 17th, I've got Nottingham Forest. Statistically, maybe they just were a very lucky side to stay up last year, but they've had another year in the Premier League. I don't think they're extending Lingard, which is a good decision. I'm not too aware of any big business they've done, but one thing which I am seeing soon is they're going to bring in a new goalkeeper. It now looks like Matt Turner is set to be their new number one. As an Arsenal fan, I've seen Matt Turner enough to kind of give an opinion on him, and I think he is a very decent goalkeeper. I think he'd do brilliantly for Nottingham Forest. And yeah, it's a shame to see him go because I think he's a really good number two. But then again, looks like Arsenal might be getting David Raya, so then Turner has to go. I think he'll do brilliantly for Nottingham Forest, and I think he will help them a lot next season. And I'm expecting them just about to survive relegation.
In 17th, just avoiding relegation, I'm going for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest had a very good season last season. They were quite a strong side in terms of playing at home. They got a couple of decent results across the season, but I think it might be a case of second season syndrome for them. They're not going to get relegated, but it will be close. They haven't brought in many players. The only one I can really think of is Alanga, and that's only because he came from my club, Manchester United. I like Alanga. I think Alanga is decent. Not Manchester United level, obviously, but I think he's a very decent player. I'm not overly convinced that Nottingham Forest will have a decent season like they did last season. I think they'll struggle, but I think they'll just about survive. 17th, Nottingham Forest.
So Bournemouth are going to go 17th. I don't see them getting relegated, but I do see them just hanging on by a thread.
In 16th, I have got Everton. I think Dyche is going to push them one position up. I expect them to flirt with relegation a little bit still. I don't really love that squad. I mean, they finally got Danjuma after the accident of not getting him in January and him going to Tottenham. They have got him now. But, is that going to work out? I think he's a good player, Danjuma, and I think he'll do well at Everton. Is it the perfect player for their system? I don't know. And yeah, it's just a case of it's not going to be a great season, but it's going to be better than the last two. And I think for an Everton fan, you'll take that.
In 16th, I'm going for Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth, like Nottingham Forest, had a fairly decent season last season. They were sort of solid. They managed to survive, which was quite important for them. I don't think many people backed them to survive, and they did. So props to Bournemouth for that. But they've got a new manager in. I don't know a lot about him, to be honest, but I guess we'll see. And they brought a few players in as well. Kluivert is the one that stands out straight away in my head. I don't know how well he's going to do, but you never know. Bournemouth, I think they'll just sort of be somewhat steady. I don't really think they'll drop into the relegation zone much, if at all. I think they'll survive. 16th seems about right for them.
16th now. I'm actually going to give this Luton Town. Now, the reason why I think Luton Town are going to stay up is because, there is a system behind a club that has that's gone from non-league to the Premier League in the last, 10 years. That is incredible. And I don't really see what everyone's justification is that they're favourites to go down. They know what they're doing. Like they have a system of how to stay in leagues and then get promoted out of them. So don't expect this Luton Town team to just drop off the cliff. They could stick around in the league for a while.
In 15th, I've got Bournemouth. Now, obviously, they made a managerial change. I mentioned it earlier. They got rid of Gary O'Neill, who kept them up. They brought in Andoni Iraola, who managed Rayo Vallecano. And yeah, this isn't too much about him. I've heard good things. Statistically, it looks like a good appointment from La Liga. They've obviously signed Justin Kluivert, the son of Patrick. And is that going to work? I'm not too sure. I simply think that there's going to be a lot of teams having bad seasons, so Bournemouth will be fine. They might flirt with relegation a little bit, but I think on the whole, they'll be fine.
In 15th, I've got Fulham. And once again, Fulham are a team that did better than people thought last season. They did very, very well. And this is going to be a big drop-off from what they were last season. But I just don't think that they'll manage to keep up with that sort of standard that they set out last season. Props to Marco Silva for not going to Saudi Arabia when they came calling. I've gained a lot of respect for Marco Silva because of that. He's a decent manager as well, but yeah, I'm just not overly confident in what Fulham will do next season.
15th, I'm actually going to go for Burnley. Quite impressed with their championship season, obviously. They've got a little bit of a high under Vincent Kompany, but for me, it's 15th for Burnley.
In 14th, I have got West Ham United. Now, this, may not look too great. Some people may say West Ham could do a lot better. But look, last season they flirted relegation with their best player. This season, they're playing without their best player. And that, of course, is Declan Rice, who's now gone to Arsenal. Have they properly replaced him? At the time of recording, no, they're obviously looking to. I think they're signing Edson Alvarez from Ajax. The fact that Rice is gone is such a big deal, especially when they're also going to have to deal with Europa League. I'd have them lower if it wasn't for teams like Forest, who I just don't think have certain players which West Ham have. I may have them 14th, but I would not be surprised if I got this wrong and they were lower and they flirted for relegation. I would not be surprised. But yeah, also another prediction, Moyes is not going to be in the job at the end of the year, 100%. Moyes will not be West Ham manager this time next year. You have my word.
Sean Dyche might be able to pull off somewhat of a miracle. He's had this time now to sort of put his feel on Everton, and if Sean Dyche can get Everton playing similar football to the Burnley of old, we'll get on to Burnley, but the Burnley of old under Sean Dyche, I think they'll be fine. It may sound shocking to put them this high, but sometimes you just have to go out and say, this is what's going to happen. And I genuinely think that Sean Dyche can do something with this Everton team.
In 14th, I'm actually going to go for Brentford. They don't have Ivan Toney to kick themselves off with the start of the season, and David Raya looks like he's going to join Arsenal. So for me, quite an underwhelming season for Brentford.
In 13th, I've got Burnley. Now, Burnley obviously took a season out and they were in the Championship. They appointed Vincent Kompany and they absolutely changed everything about the club. They went from the stereotypical Burnley hoof fit, and with Vincent Kompany, they've actually played an attractive style of football. All these lovely players, Josh Cullen, they look like they might sign Sambi Lokonga, which might be good for his career personally, because he's played under Kompany before. They also got Trafford from City, obviously he was on loan at Bolton last season, and was the hero of the England under-21 side in the summer. And I think that's a very good signing. As soon as Burnley got promoted, in my head I was just like, yeah, they are on such a high, on such an upward trajectory with such an exciting young manager. I see them staying up this year. I just don't see them going. And I've got them as high as 13th.
In 13th, I've got West Ham. West Ham had a very poor Premier League season last season, and I think they might struggle for the opening half of the season. I think David Moyes will be gone fairly soon. They'll bring someone in, I don't know who, but they'll bring someone in and it will get better. They'll finish in 13th, which for the standard that West Ham have sort of put up for the last couple of seasons isn't amazing, but considering last season, I'm sure they would take 13th.
In 13th place, I'm going to go with Crystal Palace. Now, Roy Hodgson will do his thing, keep them up year on year, and he's a great manager for them, but that's about as far as it's going to go for them.
In 12th, I've got Fulham. Now, obviously, I've just spoken really great about Burnley, but I'm not actually going to speak that great about Fulham. It looks very extremely likely that Mitrovic isn't going to play for them this season. He's kind of put his foot down and is trying to get a move away. I've got to give a lot of credit to Marco Silva because he looked very much on his way to go to Saudi, but he rejected it in order to stay at Fulham, something I didn't expect from him, so fair play for that. João Palhinha looked like he might leave, and it's still yet to be seen. There was rumours about West Ham, but they were demanding like 90 million. Look, if Palhinha stays, that's a massive bonus for Fulham, because losing him would have been catastrophic. It's not about losing Mitrovic, it's about losing Palhinha. Keeping him, keeping Marco Silva is the important thing here, and I think that's what's going to keep them doing okay. But yeah, Fulham 12th. That's just where I've got them.
In 12th, I've gone for Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace, near enough always finish in this sort of position. There'll be a struggle at times for them, but they'll probably get some decent results here and there. Crystal Palace will be fine. They're the definition of mid-table obscurity. 12th, Crystal Palace. Let's move on.
In 12th place, I'm going to go West Ham. Yep, I think 12th is actually quite high for West Ham, looking at it. But they're looking at maybe potentially losing a couple of key players. Rice has just gone out the door. McTominay and Maguire to come into the squad. It's not that promising. Lucas Paqueta linked with Manchester City as well. Yeah, I'm going to go 12th place for West Ham.
For 11th, I've got Crystal Palace. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. This is just a prediction which I put next to no effort or thinking about because it's Crystal Palace and you put them between 10th and 12th. With Hodgson, he's already been there before and you saw it towards the end of last season once he was brought in. The likes of Eze and Elise were actually performing at a higher level. I think Elise was already doing well under Vieira, but Eze in particular, you saw a lot more from him. And yeah, Palace 11th.
In 11th, I've gone for Brentford. Ivan Toney not being at Brentford is going to have a massive, massive effect on them, I feel. I don't think they're going to do as well as last season. I feel like they did really well last season, but Ivan Toney was a massive part of that. And to lose him is going to be massive on Brentford. I know they get him back in January, February sort of time, and I feel like that will have a massive impact. He'll come back, score goals like Ivan Toney does. There's a lot of decent players at Brentford, but without Ivan Toney, I just think that it's not going to be amazing. I feel like they'll struggle a little bit. I think 11th is realistic for Brentford this season.
In 11th place, Fulham. Last season was outrageous for Fulham, and I think they should just be grateful they're still in the league. So 11th.
In 10th, I've got Brentford. Now, I know what you're thinking. The first thing you're going to say is Ivan Toney is suspended until, February? Yeah, not great. Really not great. But I still think they've got a relatively good side. The signing of Nathan Collins, I think, is really good. In for Toney, you're going to see Brian Mbeumo usually play up front, and I think he's still quite a good player, and maybe in Toney's absence, he can perform at a higher level. Brentford are a very well-run club, and Thomas Frank knows what he's doing, and he's a very decent manager, and I expect them to still perform at a very similar level. As crucial as Ivan Toney is, you're going to be more impressed by Brentford this season by the fact that they don't have Toney. I think you're going to be even more impressed by them and how well they continue to perform without him. So yeah, Brentford 10th.
In 10th, I've gone for the third and final newly promoted team. I've gone for Burnley. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know a lot about this Burnley side. I know they did very, very, very well in the Championship last season. I don't know how that's going to relate to the Premier League. I wasn't really sure where to place them. I've gone with 10th though, because I do feel as though they have quite a strong side. They have quite a attacking, exciting brand of football under Vincent Kompany, and yeah, they're going to get some unbelievable results. Potentially even beating City on the opening day. 10th place, Burnley.
I haven't done Wolves yet. Wolves have somehow made it to 10th. Considering they've just lost a very good manager, I don't think that's very realistic. But, Wolves have made it 10th.
In 9th, I've got Brighton. I know they finished in the Europa League last year, but I don't have them replicating it. Reasons I've got, well, they've lost McAllister. They might still lose Caicedo, even though he hasn't gone yet. I think he's going on strike at the moment to try and get a move to Chelsea. But as well, the fact that they're in Europe, I expect them to give it their all. Because why wouldn't you? They don't know if they're ever going to get into Europe again. I want Brighton to just give it their all, get as far as you can in that tournament, because that's what you want to see for the Brighton fans as well, that they're going to want that. And I think that might hamper their Premier League performances. You know, I just feel like the Europa League will be a distraction which pushes them down a few places, but I still expect great football and a good, relatively good season from Roberto De Zerbi's side. And I really like Brighton. I really do. Brighton, unfortunately, I've got you dropping 3 places. I've got you 9th.
In 9th, I'm going for Brighton. Brighton very, very, very much overperformed last season, if we're being honest. De Zerbi proved himself as a fantastic manager, led them to European football in this upcoming season, and I think that might be a slight issue for them. I think their depth isn't overly amazing. I think they're not going to be able to balance both European football and Premier League football like some of the bigger clubs might. I think they'll have a good season, but it won't be up to the same standard. I think 9th makes a lot of sense for Brighton, so I'm going for Brighton in 9th.
Still a couple of big teams left. In 9th, I think I'm going to go with Aston Villa. I could see them potentially winning the Europa Conference League. They've put together a really strong side. Aston Villa, yeah. I'm going to go with Aston Villa in 9th.
In 8th, I have got Aston Villa. I'm very excited about Aston Villa this season. Obviously, I haven't put them in a European spot, which they did get. But one thing I do expect, I think they're going to win the Conference League. I really do. I think they've made very good signings. And with Unai Emery in charge, you know, he's a very good manager at that. Moussa Diaby, that is pretty much the talking point here. Very, very exciting signing. Pau Torres as well. And Yuri Tillemans, maybe he'll go back to those levels we saw maybe 2 or 3 years ago with Leicester. I really like Villa. I like what they're doing. 8th for them.
In 8th place, I'm going for Aston Villa. Aston Villa are another team that did very, very, very well last season. Obviously, once again, another team that finished in a European space. Props to Aston Villa, props to Unai Emery. I think they might also win a European trophy, potentially. In terms of players they've brought in, Diaby speaks for himself. Pau Torres is a fantastic signing. That speaks for itself. And Tillemans as well is a decent player. It's just there's a lot of teams that I do think are going to do well next season. Aston Villa will still do very well. They'll still get a lot of good results. But I'm going for 8th place for Aston Villa.
In 8th, I'm going to go Tottenham Hotspur. Now, a lot of people were giving them a bit of hype recently. You know, they've just got a new manager, Ange Postecoglou. I think that's how you say his name, Postecoglou. I think that's not a bad pronunciation. But everyone's going, well, he's done great in Greece, he's done great in Scotland. But you're forgetting he's at Tottenham now. And also, the last time we saw a manager win the Scottish Premier League and then come to the Premier League, they did awfully, and that was Steven Gerrard. So for Ange Postecoglou's sake, I hope he gets that eventual move to Saudi Arabia for the bag, but he's going to finish 8th next season.
In 7th, I have got Tottenham. Yeah, Ange Postecoglou, you know, he's in the job, the Aussie manager. Do I think he's going to do a good job? It's weird because I actually like Postecoglou. I think it's a really interesting appointment, one that I'll look at. Even though I don't like Tottenham, you know, I kind of like Postecoglou. Is Kane going to stay? It's looking more and more likely like he will, which is great. But next season they've got the inevitable challenge of having to, you know, maybe let him go on a free, which probably will happen. And then what do? You've got no money to replace him with, or at least no money from a sale. They've still got, I think Davinson Sanchez hasn't left yet. I'm pretty sure there was rumours that he was going to, and that's still kind of in the works. I think Maddison is a very good signing, good at set pieces. He's very creative. He scores goals, and that's what they've been lacking. They've been lacking goals and creativity from midfield. And it's a very good signing, but unfortunately for Tottenham, I see 6 teams finishing above them, and that's just the state of it. So they're 7th.
In 7th, I've got Tottenham. Now, I sort of wanted to put Tottenham a little bit higher. I think some of the business that they've done is very good. James Maddison is a brilliant signing, obviously. I feel like Postecoglou might do all right at Tottenham. However, much like with sort of Aston Villa, I guess, I feel as though there are a lot better teams than this Tottenham side. They've managed, by the looks of it, to keep hold of Harry Kane, which is going to be massive for their season. I'm just not overly sure when it comes to Tottenham. I think 7th is actually a decent season for Tottenham for Postecoglou, considering.
In 7th now, I'll be honest, it's getting a little bit tricky to work out which teams I've got left. But in 7th, I'm going to go Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, last season, best season in the club's history. It's just incredible, qualifying for the Europa League, 6th place. But maybe just a little bit worse this year. They've lost McAllister. They will potentially lose Caicedo as well to Chelsea. Not necessarily, but they might do. They're still going to flourish. They're still going to, showcase some amazing talent, some amazing young talent as well. So I think 7th for Brighton is quite fair.
In 6th, I have got Chelsea. Now, this is a big improvement from last season. I've got them moving up 6 spaces. Chelsea fans, you should be very happy with this. But yeah, I just think it's going to take a little bit of time for things to click. I think by the end of this season, you'll be performing at a very decent level with Poch, but it's going to be a little bit too late to get things working. And I think Mudryk, as much as we, bash him for, not doing too great for that fee, I do think he'll do a little bit better this season. Apparently he's getting the number 10 shirt, he's now had more shirt numbers for Chelsea than goals in the Premier League. I'm intrigued about Nicholas Jackson as a signing, and from what I've seen in pre-season, I actually quite like the things I've seen, and I'm intrigued to see more from him. The one big negative is obviously Nkunku is out until December. That's such a big blow for them, and yeah, I think that's going to be a big enough blow to put them into 6th.
In 6th, I've gone for Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have been bouncing between 6th and probably 4th on my list. I've just not really been sure. I think Pochettino is an incredible manager. I think the business that they've done has actually been all right. Nkunku, who looks as though he's not actually going to be available because of a knee injury, but they also brought in Nicholas Jackson, who will surely start now. They brought in Rob Sanchez recently as well. I like Rob Sanchez. I think he's a decent goalkeeper, so that's a good signing in my books. It's tough. I really want to change my mind, but no, I'm sticking with it. Chelsea, 6th.
In 6th place, I'm going to go with Newcastle. I do think they struggle. This isn't a very unpopular opinion. I think they're going to struggle because their squad depth is going to struggle. The fact that they've got so many competitions to play in now with the Champions League is a very tough competition. And I just think last season was outstanding. But yeah, like Brighton's case, I think they're going to drop off, and I think the traditional Big 6 clubs are going to bounce back a bit.
In 5th, I have got Liverpool. Now, with Liverpool, I had them in my top 4 for a lot of the summer, and now it's come down to predicting it. I just can't do it. And the main reason is, look, they've obviously gotten rid of players, rejigged a bit of the squad, and they've brought in McAllister and Szoboszlai. Those are very, very attacking players. They don't really have a DM right now. And it looks like they're trying to sign Lavia. I mean, Southampton are really adamant. They've rejected their 3rd offer. They'll play well, but I think defensively they weren't too great last year, and I don't see any reasons for that to improve. And the lack of any kind of defensive mindset in the midfield right now is a bit jarring. But yeah, Liverpool, I've got you in 5th.
In 5th, I'm going for Newcastle. Now, Newcastle, like Chelsea, have sort of gone into the top 4 a bit. They've dropped down to 6th, but I'm going to go with 5th place for Newcastle. I think they have a very good squad. I like Tonali. I don't think he's going to do well. I think he's just not going to like it at Newcastle. They'll probably more focus on the Champions League. The fans will be behind them. Although it's going to be a very good season for them, 5th is a fantastic season still, considering where they were a few years back. But I think they just miss out on the top 4 again.
In 5th place, I'm actually going to go with Manchester United. Now, I'm quite impressed by their summer transfer window, but I don't think their squad is quite ready yet to really push on and challenge for the league. Last season was fantastic, and I do think Erik ten Hag's the right man, but I think they're going to have a little bit of a blip.
In 4th, to retain their spot, is Newcastle. I really like some of their business. With Tonali coming in, I think that's a very, very good sign to get him away from Milan. I think they've got a very good squad. I really like Eddie Howe. I think he's a phenomenal manager. The one thing is, I think maybe the gap between the sides above them is going to be bigger. I don't expect Almiron to perform at the same level. Harvey Barnes is a crucial signing. That is why I've got them in 4th.
In 4th, I'm going for Liverpool. With Liverpool, I feel like they're going to have something to prove this season. It was a poor season last season. They've lost a fair few players, I believe. The main one being Jordan Henderson, which I don't think anyone expected him to leave. They brought in McAllister, which is a great signing, and Szoboszlai, I think I said that right, as well. But that's the only players they've brought in. Is that enough? I don't think it is. I think the teams left have improved more, or they have a decent squad anyway. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Liverpool in fourth.
In fourth, I'm going to go Liverpool. I've been really impressed with their summer signings. I think McAllister's going to be fantastic. I feel like Salah will really lead the line once again this year. And they've got rid of a lot of deadwood that was potentially holding them back last season. And yeah, I think Liverpool in fourth, back in the Champions League under Jurgen Klopp. I think it's maybe his last year, maybe his second to last year. Fourth.
In third, I have got Man United. Again, same position. The top four is looking very similar at the moment. And yeah, I like some of their business. Obviously, Mason Mount coming in, I think that's a very good move. I think Onana, very good move as well. Obviously, as well, they signed Rasmus Højlund for a lot of money. He's done very well on the international stage, but he's only got 9 goals last season. But I think on the whole, they've got a very good squad. You know, Varane, Martinez, Shaw still there. Ramsak has really improved than last year. And they've still got Casemiro, who's so crucial. The one thing that he has to do is not get suspended as much as he did last season. With Man United, yeah, I've got them third next season.
In third place, I'm going for Manchester United. Now, this sort of hurts because I would love to say that we will finish second, we'll challenge for the title 100%, but at the same time, I'm a little bit sceptical of what we might manage to do next season. I don't think we're there yet. The signings we've brought in, I think, are very good. I like Mason Mount as a signing. I think he's a very good signing. I very, very much like Onana as a signing. If you're going to replace David De Gea, that's how you do it. Højlund, I'm not overly sure on. I don't know a lot about him, but I know, I think we've overpaid for him. I hate to say it, but I don't think we're going to finish higher than third. I would love for us to finish second. I would love it even more if we win the league, but I think we're just not there yet.
In third, I think this is going to be a team that comes up a lot in people's predictions. In third, I'm going to go for Chelsea because I think they are going to rebound under Pochettino. Pochettino is a fantastic manager. They've made some good signings. They've still got to get rid of a lot of players. But I do think that Chelsea side will be dangerous next year.
Now, you know which two teams I haven't mentioned. Obviously, there's two teams I haven't mentioned. Arsenal and Manchester City. What do I see happening? Well, I don't know what the other guys have predicted. I'm not going to know until I edit the video. So, in second, I have got Manchester City. I can already hear the screams and people having a go at me right now. But in second, I've got Manchester City. They've obviously lost Gundogan. They've lost Mahrez. Those are very big losses, especially when you consider how much they performed last season. One of them scored a brace in the FA Cup final. Foden's got a lot more responsibility on his shoulders this season, and it's more than he's ever had. Kovacic came in for Gundogan, and yeah, I don't know if I think that's a downgrade. I think he's a good player, but he's not Gundogan. With City, I think what they've lost is bigger than what they've gained. Yes, they've signed Gvardiol. I think that's an amazing signing, but did they need a centre-back this summer? With the outgoings they've had, I don't know.
Now, the top two is close, but in second place, I'm going for Arsenal. I think Arsenal have done unbelievable business. They've brought in the perfect players. They've brought in the right players. They've done the right business. People saying about Declan Rice being too much money. In today's market, I think it's about right for Declan Rice. I think they've put together such a strong squad, and they really overperformed last season. I think even Arsenal fans will admit that they overperformed last season. This is the sort of place that they should be expecting from now, though. They need to challenge again, and I think they will challenge again. And I think it'll go right down to the wire again.
Manchester City second. They're not going to quite have enough this year.
And then you look at who I have got in first place in Arsenal. Now, the first thing I want to say is obviously people are going to say, you're biased. I'm going to go, yes, of course I am. But also, because I'm predicting the Premier League, I think that's pressure on me to, you know what, big my club up. You know, have balls and say, do you know what? Yeah, we will win the league. But I just think with Arsenal's business, I think Jurrien Timber is a fantastic signing. Can play anywhere across the back four. He's probably going to play left back, at least for the start of the season. And I just think he's such an amazing player. I think he's one of our best. Like, for the fee we got him for him, it's a monumental signing for around 34 million. Kai Havertz, I've liked things from him, but I'm still yet to see anything which really sticks out to me and goes, yes, that's a really great signing. But the one thing I need to mention is Declan Rice. That is an amazing signing. That is exactly what Arsenal need. And he's such a perfect player to fit into that. He just fits right into that team. You can see him playing in a 3 with Partey and Odegaard, and maybe in other games he can fill in for Partey and maybe play Kai Havertz in games where we'll have a lot more of the ball against lower sides. I think Declan Rice is perfect for this team. Yes, Jesus is out for the first month of the season, but I think Arsenal will deal with it. You've still got Leandro Trossard who can play up front, and I think this Arsenal side is the best Arsenal side probably since Highbury, since the likes of Henry. This is the best squad Arsenal have had overall. The amount of depth they've added in the summer, it's quality depth, it's good rotation options, and David Raya is probably going to sign for Arsenal as well. Mental. I am so excited for the season, and I will say this again, I think Arsenal are going to win the league.
There is a massive thing in the way of Arsenal this season, and that is my top choice, and that's Manchester City. Manchester City are Manchester City, realistically. While Guardiola's there, while Haaland is still banging in goals, which I'm sure he will again this season, while all these unbelievable players are there, I just don't think I can predict anyone to finish above them, although it pains me to say that it's just how it is, really. I do think Arsenal might beat Manchester City at some point this season, but I think overall, just the difference in level between Manchester City and their squad and everyone else is just so massive, and Arsenal are coming close, and I have to say it was very, very difficult choosing who I think was going to win the league, and props to Arsenal for that. I've been a serial Mikel Arteta, not hater, but not lover either, if that makes sense. And now I'm predicting them to go close, but yeah, I think without Pep leaving, without all of these, like, they've still got big names. They've lost like Gundogan, they've lost big players, but I think they're too strong. I think they're too strong, and it, like I said, it pains me to say it as a Manchester United fan, but Manchester City are probably going to win the league again.
In first, I'm going to go with Arsenal. In the Arsenal fan in me just wants to say Arsenal are going to get first, and how amazing will it feel if we actually won the league, if I said Arsenal were going to finish first. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. Arsenal made some fantastic signings, Declan Rice, Jurrien Timber, Kai Havertz. Yeah, and I think there's a real winning mentality at Arsenal now. We may not do too well in the Champions League. I'll take a quarter-final, but who wouldn't realistically? Especially in Arsenal's case. So yeah, no, Arsenal first.
So that is all of our predictions. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and also comment below what you think. What are any predictions that you disagreed with? What are your kind of top 4 relegation? What are your hot picks of the season? As well, subscribe if you are new and you haven't subscribed yet. Please do that. You'll see all of our videos in your feed. And also, don't forget to ding the bell for notifications. You'll be notified every single time we upload a video. Anyways, this has been the Football in Question. These have been our football predictions for the season in the Premier League. And I'll see you next time.